Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. On Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, removing Governor Simlaye Fubara, his deputy, and all members of the State of House of Assembly for 6 months. Now, this unprecedented move raised serious concerns about Nigeria's democracy and federalism. While emergency powers, of course, exist under the 1999 Constitution, the removal of elected officials is not explicitly permitted, setting a dangerous precedent that could be applied to any state in the future. It's a beautiful week, a new week on your favorite show, Ways, and a new episode. Now, my name remains Usayua Mesale. And yes, today we will be discussing, we've not left River State yet, still on the state of emergency in River State. We're asking what every citizen must know and do. And we have with us our guest, Veronica Igube. She's a legal and governance affairs analyst from SBM Intelligence. She'll be joining me much later. Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways, so be a part of the conversation every single day. Add your voice to the discussion. You can also head onto our YouTube channel. It's at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the show right now. When I open the phone lines, I'll really love to hear your thoughts on this. As always, let me allow you ponder on my quote for the day. Now, the quote says, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's action only reminded Nigerians of the better forgotten era of military dictatorship. And this was from Senator Adolphius, right? Wabara, that's his name. Now, because we want to keep on hearing what you have to say. Remember, we introduced the segment last week. We are trying to get more people to join in with, live via video. So please, if you want to be part of the live show with your video, send and add me to our WhatsApp line. And remember, the WhatsApp line is 081-803-84663. Just send add me to our WhatsApp line, so we'll send you the link to join us via video. Yes, so we'll delve into all of this much later. What must citizens do, right? What should we do? What we must know and what we must do. But I'll go off on a break. When I come back from that break, let us see the story that we found in the news today. Stay with me. All right, thanks for staying with me. I only have one news story for today, which is Natasha's recall letter. Of course, from the reports that we have gathered, it said that about 250,000 people signed a petition, and they have submitted a petition to INEC to recall Senator Natasha Akpoti. So maybe you should just take a listen, then I'll come back.
national confidence in her because of her gross misconduct in the Senate that led us to a 6-month suspension where Kogi Central will not be represented at the National Assembly, the Senate arm. So we have come to recall her back so that we can have a representative in the Senate, because as a people, we cannot afford not to have a representative in the Senate arm for another 1 year. So we are here to tell INEC to please follow the constitutional process for our recall so that our recall process can begin. That's why we're here.
Okay, so have you submitted or?
We've submitted our petition. It's been received. All other documents have been received. This is the acknowledgement copy of the petition.
Is it the entire constituency or just a group of people? Under which platform are you representing?
Okay, it is a concerned Kogi youth and women.
Okay.
Yes.
And who is controlling this?
Talking about bankroll is a personal business. It's a personal thing. We are members of our constituents, and we're saying we don't want her anymore because you cannot afford not to have a representative. So nobody is bankrolling. Well, we are the one that voted her, and we're saying we don't want her anymore. So nobody is bankrolling. Nobody is having any personal issue with her. It is just what it is. The game is the game.
Okay, when you say you come to submit petition,
yes, please.
Is it a process that maybe you have collected the signature already, or you're about to do that? What are the things you have done already?
Okay, thank you very much. We all know the INEC rules. You cannot submit a petition without having to go and get signatures of registered voters, and that's why we're now saying, as a people, we are recalling her back from the Senate because we have gotten what it takes to recall her back from the Senate.
Like how many number of registered voters?
We have 488,000 registered voters from Kogi Central, and as I speak to you right now, we have more than 250,000 voters that have signed for her recall.
Okay. So what was the response from INEC after the moment?
Like you know, INEC is an institutional body, and its constitution is binding them, and as such, they will have to follow due process. So they will get back to us and they will do their job.
Your name, ma'am?
My name is Omole Charity Jesse.
Omole Charity Jesse, I'll come in for you. See, there is a video that is going viral. I don't know if you've seen that video, where we saw people signing that petition, collecting details from the, what's it called, voters sheet or something, getting the details of the voters and everything, their names and everything, and signing that thing. If that video holds true, what will be your name again? Charity? We're coming for you. I just want to say that please and please and please, INEC, please, this is not something to joke with, because the people that voted this woman, I know what they went through. Have we all forgotten so soon how Senator Natasha, what's his name? Governor Yaya Bello dug a big hole on the way to her village, for polling, whatever. That the people came en masse to cover up that hole. They brought bulldozers. I mean, she went through, in fact, she went to hell and back to be able to get this seat. So I don't want to believe this Charity. I don't understand, though. But there's a bit of fishiness in this story. Because if that story, I mean, that video that is going viral, if anything holds true, what we are just asking INEC to do, you see that 250 people that signed that paper, all of them have to come out. You understand? They have to come out to say, yes, they truly signed that paper. Because just last week, we saw a video that went viral that they said that they should come for an empowerment program. I mean, my memory is very, at least these days, my memory is staying sharp. The video said that they went for an empowerment program only to be met with, okay, they told them, come with your voter's card, come with this, come with that, only for them to now find out that they were trying to start this recall process. All of a sudden now we've seen 250,000, signatures. Please, where are these 250,000 people? Because I saw a very heartwarming video of the progress Senator Natasha has made in Kogi State, something that in the history of Kogi State they had not experienced before. Those people cannot just wake up and say overnight they want to recall her. Let's be careful in this country. We'll take a break because I really want to even hear the thoughts of our guests on this particular issue, right? When we come back from that break, let us understand, how we can approach some of the things that are happening legally in this country. Stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Right, today we're discussing what citizens must know and do, again, as regards the state of emergency proclamation by the president. Now, it's said that this is not the first time a Nigerian president has used emergency powers, right, in this manner. In 2007, President Obasanjo removed Governor Dariye of Plateau State under a similar declaration. At the time, the then Governor Tinubu of Lagos condemned the act as an abuse of federal authority. Similarly, in 2013, Tinubu also criticized the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, his emergency ruling in the Northeast, arguing that it subverted democracy, even though it did not include the removal of elected officials like what he has done. So under Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution, the president can declare a state of emergency during security threats. However, the removal of elected official is not explicitly stated in the Constitution. For this declaration to stand, the National Assembly must approve it within 2 days, and two-thirds majority is required. That is 240 of 360 members in the House of Representatives and 73 out of the 109 senators. Without these votes, the declaration becomes invalid. So now this is where we are right now on this current situation. Thursday, March 20th, 2020, the House of Representatives conducted a voice vote to approve the declaration. The use of a voice vote in a matter requiring a two-thirds majority raises very significant concerns regarding transparency and constitutional compliance. Now, the Constitution mandates that 240 out of 360 House members must approve such a decision, yet there was no clear record, right, of how many members were present or how individuals' votes were cast. A representative who raised a point of order on this constitutional requirement was silenced, further deepening concerns about due process. Similar thing in the Senate. The decision was made behind closed doors, leaving no public records of the deliberation or the final vote count. Given the constitutional requirement for a clear numerical threshold, the lack of transparency in both chambers undermines the legitimacy of the process and raises questions about the adherence to democratic principle. And this, of course, the disregard of constitutional provisions in this matter sets a dangerous precedent. Now, the role of elected representative is to speak on behalf of the citizens, and any decision of this magnitude must reflect the will of the people. The Nigerian Bar Association, of course, issued a very strong condemnation of these proceedings. So many prominent members, Nigerians also came out to condemn this act, highlighting the broader implications of democratic governance. So this issue is not just going to go away, because if we don't put our voice to this, it will be hard for us to even, it means that we are also accepting the impunity that is going on in our country. So joining me to shed more light is Veronica Igube. She is the Legal and Governance Affairs Analyst at SBM Intelligence. And she has joined me via Zoom. Hi, Veronica. Is she there? Are you muted?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Hi.
you now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you
Okay,
now.
great.
Veronica, before we delve into this conversation about what every citizen must know and do as regards the state of emergency, can you quickly run me through what your thoughts are with all the videos that came out from last week, today, circulating around Senator Natasha Akpoti's recall from the Senate?
I mean, I'll start by saying that it's really a sad process to watch because, like you earlier pointed out, we have seen the work that she has done within the short time that she has been at the Senate. As a first-time legislator, we have seen her carry her people along, make a lot of projects that have made great impact in her community, just in the very short term. So it's really surprising to see that a lot of people are coming out to sign this recall petition. So hopefully, the truth will come out at some point, and her work will speak for her.
Veronica,
right?
did people actually come out to sign that thing? Because we have seen a video that surfaced today where it seemed, like a foul play, where people were signing on behalf of people, using their details to append their signatures.
Okay, yeah. So, but there's a process. So right now the petition will be signed and will be submitted to INEC. INEC has the next step of announcing or publicizing it and then going through the verification process to ensure that these signatures are not just signatures of anybody or people who are coerced. So there's a procedure for recalls. And the reason why the procedure for recalls is really strict is just so that we can prevent interference, political interference where people are also swayed not only by their intentions, but also by money or by other influences. So INEC has that responsibility to ensure that they verify those signatures and the people who have signed, to ensure that they are from the state and their voices are the voices of the people as well.
Interesting. So meaning that, it's going to be a transparent process for all of us to see. It's not going to be something that they will just do behind closed doors and say that they have verified and all of that. Is it going to be transparent? Are we going to follow through the process?
INEC has that responsibility to ensure that the process is transparent, and we would hold them accountable. I think that's the conversation that Wiz is also pushing about citizens' engagement, citizens joining the conversation to be able to follow through with the process. And that's where we play our part and civil society plays their part as well to ensure that we hold INEC accountable, to ensure that that process is transparent as well as see and follow it. So we don't want things behind closed doors. We want things that are open to the public as well. Because when INEC does that, then it takes a lot of scrutiny about or foul play or not following due process as well.
So Veronica, one last question before we then move on to the state of emergency issue. Is it possible for organizations or bodies like, companies like SBM Intelligence to have a copy of that signed document and do like an underground work, like forensics, just go around all this? Because, shouldn't those documents be made available so that we'll go and, so now you've signed this thing, so we can start to intentionally, kind of verify on our own whilst INEC is trying to do their own? Is it possible? Would they be open to that kind of collaborative work?
So that's...
Go ahead.
So that's the beauty of the Freedom Information Act, right? So that's the beauty of the Freedom of Information Act. Nigeria has signed the Freedom Information Act into law. And with that, citizens can make requests of INEC for certain documents, right? Of course, there are certain documents like personal information that INEC cannot give out. But in cases like this, I'm sure that when INEC is done, they would, open the process and make it transparent and make all the information available to the citizens. And if that is not possible, a freedom of information request can be made. And if that is denied, then you can always go to the court system to ask for it using the court system as well.
Interesting.
So you have various channels to be able to get information as well.
I'm smiling because you see, anytime I hear court in this country. Well, let's move on, right? State of emergency ruling in Rivers State. I mean, I saw the executive director of Enough is Enough. She was so livid, you know, the day that let the eyes have it, and she did a video, you know, posting it, and she was so upset. A lot of Nigerians came out and they were upset. They were upset because, you know, it seemed like we were a joke to them. It seemed like, you know, they could go and do whatever it is that they please. Nobody's going to question it. Under the section of the 305 that they were quoting on emergency, what's it called, state of emergency and all of that, right? We have seen it that, yes, you can declare a state of emergency, even though till tomorrow, I do not feel that there was any form of unrest or threat that even warranted the state of emergency in the first place. But yes, let us even agree that you have declared that state of emergency, right? You then going ahead to suspend elected officials and all of that. At this point, everything that has to be done has been done. And we are all quiet. So what should every citizen know right now about the implications of this state of emergency that has happened, the suspension and everything? And before we then move on to what we need to start to do.
I think that it's both combined, right? It's like collabo, right? What every citizen needs to know and what every citizen needs to do are two important things that go hand in hand, sacrosanct. So the first start is we need to educate ourselves, right? We cannot push the conversation or drive public engagement if we do not understand the issues ourselves, right? So it's important that every Nigerian equips themselves. So it's not necessarily hearsay. Oh, I just like read a little caption, and then you have to speak with facts. You have to be able to know and digest the issues yourself. So every Nigerian is supposed to know the law. The Constitution of the Federal, every Nigerian should have a copy, right? And now Section 305 is something that everybody should be able to read and analyze by themselves to say what has gone wrong. Because if you read it, it's clear. You can see issues and places where the Constitution was not followed. And when that happens, then you know that whatever process went was unconstitutional. You earlier stated that you had the voice votes. The Constitution states that you're supposed to have 2/3 majority. So in an instance where you have voice voting as opposed to 2/3 majority, where you have to have a quorum, it's easier for you to identify, oh, these are the number of senators or House of Reps members that voted, as opposed to a voice note of aye, nay, where you cannot really quantify the number of people that voted. So my first step for every Nigerian is to get their constitution and read Section 305, just so that when you're having that conversation, whether it's on social media or you're engaging someone in your community, you're able to know your facts. Secondly, we need to engage our lawmakers. We saw that our lawmakers have a duty after the president has declared a state of emergency to rectify it. And like you said, we sat quiet. A lot of people had that conversation, but now is the time to hold our legislators accountable. We voted them into office. We're supposed to tell them, we don't know your stance. We had nay, or yeah, but but we don't know your stand. Where do you stand in this? Because do you support democracy or do you support the truncation of our democracy?
Absolutely.
Because democracy, basically it's for the people. We voted you in. You're supposed to be our collective voices. And if we do not hear your voice, speaking the voice of the people, then why are you there? So it's better for us to start engaging our lawmakers to be able to say, what are you doing? Where is your stand? We saw, like you stated earlier, we saw a few House members stand up, but they were shut down. But then it's time for us to have our collective voices as Nigerians. It's very critical that we have the 30 days rant challenge presently going on, and we should lend our voices to that.
So, Veronica, sorry, I just wanted to chip in something here. Based on what is going on, you see, in all the things, they see opportunity, because now the senators don't show us how to record them. It's very easy. You just need to go to the constituents and say, guys, we need X number of signature. Nigerians should use this and open their eyes, because you see this thing in every system that is happening. The politicians are also showing you how you can get the job done. Because from what that lady boldly, Charity Yabina, her name be that, I don't mark her face. What she's saying is that they gathered people ahead now, and they signed, and they've gotten the majority, the quorum that they need, and they have submitted it to INEC. So it's the same thing. So now that there was clearly a breach in how that voting should have happened when it comes to state of emergency, can we not start to write to our senators? How did you vote? Did you vote for it or against it? If your answer is you voted for it, we say, okay, Oga, come and explain to us. You know, like literally, right? How do we get citizens to galvanize? How do we come together now? Because as it stands now, they have already shown us how we can record them. Is very simple. When we have signed everything, we send it to INEC. So how do we go about that process to even understand where they stood in that voting? Because that voting was supposed to be, there's supposed to be a signature. There's supposed to be an evidence that something was signed, you understand, to say, okay, I support or I do not support. But we don't have that. So that's clearly a breach. But yet we're still quiet. So how do we go about that, even starting from that point first?
Why everyone has been saying this was unconstitutional, because the laid down constitutional procedures were not followed exactly as you pointed it out. How are we going to know how am I going to know what my Senate or House of Reps member voted? You can't, because in a situation where it's ayes and nays, you can't be distinguish or know for a fact who voted what. But like you said, you can go through the recall. Currently a suit at the federal hierarchy of the procedure. So right now as citizens, we should look for how we should support people who have taken steps for those legal actions, right? On the one hand, and on the other hand, to start the process of holding our legislators accountable, calling for a recall. The honest truth is, if we continue keeping quiet and not holding our leaders accountable, then they will keep on going scot-free, because they know, oh, the people are not going to challenge us. The people are not going to ask us questions. The people are not going to hold us accountable. We have to speak with a collective voice, right? We also have, in speaking with the collective voice, we also have to remember our integrity and our patriotism. So not like when we decide to collaborate with our voices and speak with one voice to challenge our legislators and hold them accountable. On the one hand, some people can be swayed by certain things. So at the same time, we also have to remember our patriotism to our nation. Remember that we are standing for democracy as well. And remember that we must not allow instances like this to go scot-free, because if we keep quiet for what is happening in Rivers State today, who says which state would be next? You do not know. Because
Absolutely.
if this is happening based on security issues, and we're saying we are not seeing those security issues that you are putting out. There could have been other steps that you could have taken to resolve the issue, right? If it doesn't happen, which state will be next when there is a little disagreement between members of the House or the governing? What?
Veronica,
you never know.
Veronica,
but if we keep quiet and say, just a Rivers State issue.
On a lighter note, I couldn't help myself. You saw what Governor Adeleke did. As he just saw that they are trying to fight, Baba declared curfew.
Just to ensure there's peace. Because you do not know, and you know the what, you know, it's critical critical that democracy ensures that people who we voted for are the ones that are ruling us. But now that has been taken away from the people of Rivers State. Their governor who they elected, their house members who they elected have been taken away. The House of Reps members are meant to represent the voices of the people. We have seen that the people of Rivers State have gone to the streets to say we do not want this. Nigerians have to come out to support them in this fight. Because if we do not fight for democracy today, tomorrow it may be your turn.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So we'll go on a very short break, right? Because there are allegations. One of the senators had come out to say that he was not part of the people that collected $10,000. Remember the allegation that went round saying that, you know, these people were actually paid, you know, $10,000 to just, you know, approve that state of emergency in River State. Yeah, so we'll take a break. When we come back from that break, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, we are discussing the state of emergency in River State and what every citizen must know and do. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also call the WhatsApp line. You can call in on our phone-in lines, 07025007749 or 070142420. Now, remember, I said you can join us via video, so you can also just send us add me message to our WhatsApp 081-803-84663. It's important that we hear what you have to say, right? So, I mean, thank you, Veronica, for staying with me. So this matter. So there are strong allegations as to financial exchange, right? That then facilitated the passage of that, approving what the president had done. Given the fact that so many things went wrong, because first of all, that process was supposed to go through the Senate in the first place, but they said, you know, some lawyers have come out to argue, you know, you people, legal people, you know how to confuse us a lot. Because one lawyer came here last week and he was telling me that no, based on what the Constitution says, that he can declare it emergent, then he can then go afterwards to then go and legalize it with the National Assembly. However, the part of him swearing the sole administrator in, that part, the lawyer could not really justify it because that was, I mean, there were so many illegalities, right? So now there are allegations of illegalities, there are allegations of exchange, I mean, financial exchange and all of that. How do we go about this? What do we do, you know, as citizens? Is it still just coming together to recall, or what exactly, how are we going to go about this? At least to even get them to talk and be accountable to us, because as it stands, they could care less what your thoughts are. They will just be doing what it is that they're doing.
And that's the critical part where judiciary comes in, right? You know, I know earlier you stated the court system, but the court system is actually, so you have the three arms of government and you have checks and balances. The executive is to check the legislature, so they are all to check each other. But the judiciary plays a critical, huge role of being a guardian, of ensuring that justice is seen, that justice is done, that when the people are left helpless, like in the situation that we're at right now, the court is the last hope of the Nigerian people. So when in this situation, right, of course, the court system would deal with facts, right? So if you're a member or the person that comes out to lay the allegations of corruption or of any fraudulent malpractice that happened in instigating or monetizing, like kind of tricking or cajoling people to, you know, slide on this way for monetary funds, you have to be able to prove it. You have to be able to come with your facts, right? Because you cannot speak on hearsay. Because when you do that, you're defaming the character of the other person, and you can be sued to as huge as that. You have to be able to come with facts. That's one. I'm going to the court system to say, this illegality has happened. Let's hold this person accountable. And it's high time that the judiciary sit up and ensure that justice is done, right? So like I stated earlier, the case of the state of emergency is presently in the Federal High Court. We look for how the judiciary would make this precedent, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the decision that the courts would hold that would inform the going forward, that will be able to save or rescue the people of Rivers State as the situation is at the moment.
Veronica,
but I know that the yes?
Sorry to cut you. The Attorney General of the Federation gave a press briefing backing the president and endorsing his actions. Who is the judiciary, please? Who is the judiciary? Even though the Nigerian Bar Association has written to condemn what the president had done, but if the Attorney General of the Federation, please, who is the judiciary? Is it not is the person that controls the entire legal structure? He's the custodian of legality as far as I am concerned.
Well, the Attorney General is still part of the executive. The Attorney General is part of the executive, right?
So he's not part of the judiciary.
Are the judges that the judiciary are the judges that we have in our court systems in this instance, right? Because when you take your matter to court, it's the judge that is going to sit on it. So that is why I say we're calling on the judges who would listen to these issues to be able to interpret the Constitution and see that due process was not followed. And I'm sure that when it goes to the court will be able to say that the governor should be reinstated. And if they wanted to declare a state of emergency, we have seen instances where a state of emergency has been declared in the state, but the suspension of elected officials was not conducted. So now we're in a situation where you're having a governor that was duly elected and members of the House of Reps who were duly elected into office being suspended and an administrator appointed to rule that state or govern that state as we say.
Veronica,
right?
Let me go back to your judiciary. There were very strong allegations around how the minister for the FCT was building houses for your judges, right? We understand how remuneration in Nigeria is quite poor, and it cuts across. It's not just even in the, salaries and all of that. It cuts across. So every single time, I've said this thing several times, how poverty is a weapon in this country. So it tells you that at every point in time, because if the story going around Natasha's, those people going to go and sign all of those things holds any truth in it, it tells you that that is just poverty, weaponized poverty at play. Same with, what's it called? How people have alleged that the judiciary is strongly compromised because some of these people, some of these judges were promised all sorts of things, houses, cars, blah, 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 right? Is it the same judges that we have also been screaming our heads off that they seem to be compromised, that we should go to for justice?
as lawyers, right, we are held with a higher, I mean, it's something where they teach us in law school where they say you have to be fit and proper. You're not allowed to bring the legal profession into disrepute. In situations where judges are held at a higher esteem, because judges are meant to be unbiased, they are meant to be the people who would ensure that the laws or the people are safe, right? And the law is upheld, right? And in situations where they are challenged, the judiciary is supposed to be the voice of the common man. And every judicial officer is supposed to uphold those laws or that responsibility of being ethically fit and proper as a lawyer and as a judge. And in situations where the judiciary has been compromised, there is a process which they go for disciplinary process for lawyers. So if it's a situation where a judge has been found wanting, the judge will be held accountable by the process laid down by the law, right? So as lawyers, as judges, they are held to higher esteem to ensure that they are protectors and the guardians of the law. If there are fortunate situations where judges are found wanting, then they should be held accountable and they should be called out. I think we have seen situations where even lawyers and judges are called out and face disciplinary committee, disciplinary action, even as in situations where they are held or found to be wanting.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit on citizens' responsibility. Of course, we need to hold our lawmakers accountable. We need to engage them and all of that. And the 30-day rant challenge that the young lady started that went viral, how effective do you think that would even be in all of this? Do you think that will solve any problem? Is it an effective way to communicate some of our grievances or some of our, issues with our government? Is it going to make any difference?
It has been making a difference. I mean, you just stated about how the 30 days challenge started from a young lady just airing her views and, her dissent with what is happening in Nigeria, taking up her right to express herself online to say, this is what is happening. And that has started a movement. That is how the movement of the 30 days rant has started. Just imagine if she didn't take her phone to make that video, we wouldn't be having the conversation of the 30 days rant. A lot of young people have taken their voices and have contributed to the movement. And just imagine if we were silent and if we keep quiet, then nothing does happen. A lot of people keep saying that activism or coming out and talking chat does not do the work. But let's also remember the NSAS movement and how social media changed that perception of how young people lent their voice to causes. And this is what we're also seeing in the 30 days challenge, right? So we have to come out. We have to come out in our numbers. We have to come out educated, knowing our facts, like I stated. We also have to engage with civil society, those that are already having and we need to engage our political parties. That's why as young people, we cannot keep quiet and stay at the side. As educated people, we cannot keep quiet and, continue to keep quiet, because if we continue to be silent, then you cannot complain about what is happening because you have not lent your voice to the cause. We need to hold and mobilize political parties. The Labour Party, the opposition parties need to stand up and start making noise. And as young people, we also need to collaborate with those political parties. These are the times where opposition need to be. Opposition on a good day is supposed to continuously hold the government accountable. There's also the place of the media, right? This conversation we're having also gives the opportunity to educate the people, which of course the media, has that responsibility to, and it's also stated in the Nigerian Constitution. You also have
Veronica.
The NBA has already taken out steps.
Sorry to butt in there. You see, this thing you talked about is fantastic. But you see, let me tell you what I have noticed with us young people. We don't know how to play the long game. 30 days rant, your 30 days will come and will go, and all of us will go back, and continue as business as usual. Politicians don't work that way, right? Because I feel like we are still not being strategic when it comes to how to checkmate these political leaders, right? Because you do a 30-day rant, and the 30 days come and it goes. You have ranted, they've heard you, we've made the noise, and all of that. But what next? Politicians will stay on. They are there for 10 years. Our president had this ambition a long time ago. But see how many years it has taken him for him to become president today. How many of us have that stay power as young people? So shouldn't we be looking at a different strategy?
Is the strategy, right? The mobilization strategy. Some of the lessons that we take from the NSAS movement was that the movement made a lot of noise, made a lot of push, made people shake, made the politicians shake, right? But then what did we do after? It's about having a strategy. So even going before we start the rant, like you stated, what is our strategy moving forward? As you said, politicians will always play the long game. They're already thinking about the future. As young people, we also start to have thinking about the future. What happens after the 30 days? Right? Do we just rant or come out and protest, and after that we go back? No, it's about mobilizing. Like you said, if a group of people come out to push for a recall, if legislators see that recall actually is effective in recalling a member, everybody will sit up. Everybody will start, engaging their constituents. Everybody will start sitting up. But when they see that, they are just at it again, and give them 30 days, they will be done and nothing will happen. They will come to the streets and will intimidate them. But we have to also look for a different strategy. The young people of Nigeria make up a large population of the country.
Yeah.
If we can come with our collective voice, if we can bring brilliant minds to strategize, if we can say, what legal action can we take? How can we strategize to ensure that we have enough evidence before we go to the courts, right? We have our play. We do a recall. I'm telling you, once they recall one or two members, we will see people sitting up because they know that the institutions are working. They know that INEC is working. They know that young people will follow the process. I mean, take the example of how it was so quick for this petition to be signed against Natasha.
So thank you for bringing that. So now I want to tie that. Veronica, remember what I had mentioned earlier about weaponized poverty? How do we process a recall when we still have a politics that is a money game? Because I can bet you, if that story holds true, the video that is going viral, it means that there has been a lot of exchange of money to be able to get those people to do whatever it is they've done. If we decide that we want to recall a senator today, how is it going to how are we going to follow through that process, knowing very well that people are still very much hungry, right? It just takes that person to come, distribute a few exchange of currencies, and then maybe some food items, noodles, rice, which is their usual antics and all of that. And that matter dies. So these people understand that. So you are fighting against a system that has, first of all, kept you hungry, kept you, and all of that, so that when they need you to jump, you don't ask questions, you just ask how high. So how do you really process that recall system when you're up against, because what I'm as it is now, we need money too. Do you understand? Because you have to be able to match them, money for money, food item for food item, whatever for whatever. Because as it stands, people are still hungry.
People are still hungry. I mean, you made a really, really interesting point where that can be our strategy. So not only are we gathering together to say, you have to vote right, we also have to be able to address the root cause problems, right? At the end of the day, like you said, there is poverty in the land. everybody's feeling it. Everybody's getting it hot, right? So it's to be able to balance it that, okay, so we're doing this. But I mean, again, infrastructure. But let's just take a playbook or an example from the NSAS movement. We saw that the NSAS movement was so collective to the point that food was provided, shelter was provided, people that came out were also provided legal, with legal help and assistance when needed. So it's for us to ensure that we strategize and we address all the issues, right? To be able to address the root cause of poverty. But at the same time, it's also critical that we start addressing these issues at the young, tender age of trying to inculcate patriotism, integrity back into our people, to realize that the money that you collect today is basically selling yourself for how much? Selling the lives of your children, your grandchildren, because at the end of the day, if we cannot get good and accountable leaders who would provide impact that we will see in our communities, then what are we doing?
Interesting.
It's a sad reality that is happening. But we also need to strategize and say, okay, the root cause of many people giving up their votes or giving up their rights is because of poverty. So how can we as citizens address that root cause in our society of the absence of patriotism, the absence of the will to even push or challenge our leaders? Because everybody's like, talk. Let's just continue. At the end of the day, they would come and, harass us. And I'm not ready to lose my life for Nigeria. So let me just go on my way and make my own money and make my own living, without seeing that at the end of the day, the politician that you put in power tomorrow can come and pass a law that your whole business or a policy can crumble in a day.
Absolutely.
And we have seen this happen time and time.
Absolutely, and that is our harsh reality. Enough is Enough is doing a lot. They have a platform called shineyoureye.org. I keep on wondering how many people visit that place to just even get the details of their elected officials, just to be able to get their voices, heard. So I don't know if you are looking to engage your elected official, please visit that platform. There are so many things we can do, right? We need to ensure that all of this conversation is hinged around how we want to become active citizens, because it is only when the office of the citizen is activated that we can truly make any difference. And I like what you said. We have to be intentionally strategic about how we can solve the poverty problem in this country. Once we are able to get a lot of people out of poverty, educate them, get them out of that ignorance bracket as well, we might find, that, okay, we'll start to make headway when it comes to engaging with our political leaders. If you had a final thought on this, Veronica, what would you be saying to anybody that is listening?
I think that one thing is that we should all come out and lend our voices one way or the other. It mustn't necessarily be on the streets. You can do it with your phone. You can do it by educating your neighbor. You can do it by also joining and supporting, civil society initiatives. You can do it by just placing a phone call to your member. You can do it by following up with your constituency representatives, right? We cannot continue to keep quiet, especially educated and the elites. You cannot continue to keep quiet and distance yourself from politics as young people. Whether you get involved in politics or not, as young people, we need to follow the process. We need to be aware of what is happening in our community, what is happening in our country, and lend our voices to it. Those that can write should write public opinions. Those that can engage, can raise advocacy movements to raise advocacy movements. Those who can get into politics to change the narrative. Because if we do not do that, then competent people would not be in the place that they are supposed to be. As young people, we also need to build capacity, because we cannot say, oh, we need spaces for women, we need spaces for young people, without having the capacity to do the work. Because it's in having the capacity to do the work and getting in places where decisions are made that we can make a difference. That we can be able to open the door for other young people and other young women to come into the room. As leaders, we need to also build ourselves. We also need to equip ourselves with knowledge. We need to join political parties, and we need to be active citizens. And like you stated, the Enough platform has created a website where you can just go and see the name of your legislator, you can see their email. You can walk up to their constituency office and start protesting. Greta Thunberg was protesting in parliament by herself, driving the climate change strike. And what did it? It started a global move. The young lady who came out and took her phone and made the rant on social media has started the challenge. What are you doing today? As young people, this is a call to action for us to get involved, for us to put in the work. We cannot keep quiet and continue to complain in our houses, in our silos. We need to bring our collective voice in Nigeria.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Veronica. It was so much fun having to do this with you this Monday.
Thank you very much for having me. It's really been an interesting conversation.
Thank you so much. So now the declaration of state of emergency rule in Rivers State raises fundamental concerns about Nigeria's democracy. If allowed to stand, it could normalize the removal of elected officials under questionable circumstances. Like they can just wake up and remove your elected official. Now, citizens, lawmakers, and civil society must act swiftly to ensure that democratic processes are protected. Democracy thrives when citizens refuse to be silent. So now is the time to speak up, ask the right questions, ensure those in power respect the Constitution and the rule of law. Go to shineyoureye.org and go and find your elected officials and ask questions. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And yes, before I go, subscribe to our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow. If you missed my quote for today, it says, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's action only reminded Nigerians of the better forgotten era of military dictatorship. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.